That morning, if I wouldn't say, let's go that side of the forest, maybe this wouldn't happen. For a whole month I couldn't, when you sleep it, you have nightmares about it, and you think about it, and you're like, what if I could have said, hey, let's just go home that night. Maybe this wouldn't happen.
I held my gun out in front of me, believing that he was going to shoot at me. I said, don't you shoot at me, you son of a bitch.
The trial begins for a Minnesota man accused in the Wisconsin hunting rampage killings.
There are 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide with use of a dangerous weapon.
Were racial slurs used? Was Chai Vang threatened by the hunting party? And did anyone in that hunting party that confronted Chai Vang actually fire their own weapons?
How did this thing turn into a war? Did they fire a shot at him? Was that true? Did they fire a warning shot? Something had to have happened to make him snap into this war mode.
Do you know you are trespassing 400 acres of land, you damn gook? If you're fucking Asian, keep coming to my land, I'm gonna kick your fucking Asian ass.
I remember throughout the morning hearing some radio traffic about who was in the tree stand. I heard 1 gunshot, and I heard 3 shots follow that. It was pretty fast shots. It was kind of like, like automatic, boom, 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 boom. I remember hearing, get guns and come down here and help people out. And then after that, I heard from 5 to 6 shots, like automatic, and I was like, wow. And after that, I heard help. A guy saying, help me,
I started hearing some radio traffic. There had been some information coming in that there had been a hunting accident or shooting accident. It became apparent in real short order that it was not a hunting accident.
A couple guys that are shot back there. Russian Clay 911, what's your emergency? They said there's like 4 or 5 people dead in the woods. Some kind of like crazy just shot.
I was here in Minneapolis, and then his wife called, and I answered the phone, and she said, they got him, And I go, who got him? He goes, the police got him. I go, what do you mean? He go, they say he shot some people. And I go, no, he can't,
Gene, I've got the suspect vehicle and suspect information if you'd like to broadcast that. Go ahead. The name will be Chai Vang. Okay. He's from St. Paul. He is a male, height 5'4", weighs 145, black hair, brown eyes. He believes he might be like a Hmong. So if you have any contact with a certain Hmong, hold him until we can identify what's going on.
I got a phone call from my oldest sister, Mai, and she said, chill, our life's over. Our family's over. And I'd ask her, what are you talking about? And she'd go, look on the news. It's all over the place.
Gunned down. Police say an eruption of rage triggered the shootings.
The St. Paul man Chai Vang accused of opening fire in the northwestern part of the state. Police say he was a disgruntled hunter who was being told to get off some private land.
Carter looked at my cousin and I and said, they're all dead. They're all... And I asked him who, and he said, Joe, Bob, and your dad. And I asked him, my dad's dead, are you sure? And he said, yeah, I'm sure.
It was supposed to be off limits to trespassers. So when Terry Willers noticed someone in their tree stand, he alerted the others. Robert Crotto and 5 of his friends in their hunting party boarded 2 ATVs and drove to the scene to confront Vang. Vang says he tried to leave, but the confrontation got ugly.
He said he was trying to get away from those people. They wouldn't let him. No matter what he did, they would not let him go. They kept yelling and grabbing him. And because he said that all those times he had the family in the back of his mind, he didn't want to do anything to, you know, to get into that situation. But he said that they told him that he can leave, and then he leave, and then he turned back, and that guy had already pointed the gun and shot at him, and so he ducked down and shoot back. He said he had no choice. He had to make that choice real fast.
When it was all said and done, Vang had shot 8 people. 6 of them died. 2 were wounded.
I called my house. I talked to my wife. She said, "You got to get home. Something bad's happened." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she told me that they were dead.
First thing he told my mom is he's sorry, that he's not going to be able to bury her, you know, and that's like the most important thing in like our culture. Yes, this the first son bury their mom and dad, you know, so he's just told to say he's sorry.
Members of the Hmong community in the Twin Cities are sending their condolences to the hunters' families. They are also expressing their concern they will share the blame for what happened.
This outline of the map of Wisconsin with the text "No Hmong" was done a few days after the hunting incident in Wisconsin. Because my uncle was humiliated and frightened for himself and his business, he quickly washed it away and spray painted it white.
People who are planning on hunting this week may face some tension, and we already hear that from the community.
We ask you not to allow the despicable act of one person to stain the reputation of an entire community of good, hardworking Hmong people.
This is the first time the Hmong community is being introduced to all corners of the country. And here we are, the first Hmong guy they see on TV is in a red jumpsuit and on trial for 6 counts of murder. You know, so what does this say to our community? What kind of picture does this paint about the Hmong American community?
Chai Vang is an individual, and he made a choice on what he thought was best for him at that time. And he's got to live with his choices. And it's sad, but I got to live with his choice too, because I'm Hmong.
When I found out that he was Hmong, I felt bad because I knew that there was going to be like a lot of controversy. I was ticked off when I saw that there was bumper stickers around that said, you know, save a deer, kill a Hmong. You know, like that's disgusting.
Just before they announced Chai Vang, I was like, please don't let it be Hmong. Please don't let it be Asian. You know, it's that thing. And then after they announced Chai Vang that he killed these people, you know, the people around me in that living room, we were all just like, oh no, you know, we don't need this right now. And I was a part of that until I stepped. I was like, wait, we haven't heard the whole story, and there's got to be a reason why, you know. there's got to be more to it.
Live from the WDIO broadcast studio.
Wisconsin's top cop, State Attorney General Peg Lautenschlager, says she wants to personally prosecute Chai Vang.
My name's Peg Lautenschlager. I'm Wisconsin Attorney General. There are 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide with use of a dangerous weapon, a felony crime in Wisconsin that carries with it a mandatory sentence of life without parole, plus 5 years because of use of the dangerous weapon.
But you think that a trial would be fair in Sawyer County?
I think so, yes.
Many in Sawyer County tonight make no secret about their feelings towards Chai Vang.
They should have dropped the bullet on him to begin with. We'll be in court for years.
Chai Vang's defense team filed motions today saying their client can't get a fair trial in Hayward. They blame racial and cultural overtones in that area along with pre-trial publicity.
Oh, I think the media loved the controversy. The lawyers loved the controversy. You know, they thrive on making it a race issue. And it's not.
The news reports that tried to speculate about what happened in the woods and trying to figure out how racist the community is. I think the response in the community was hunker down and let's protect ourselves. One of the family members wrote a letter that was circulated on email, pleading actually for people not to make it an issue about race, for people not to make it an issue about the Hmong immigrants and that it's not a racist issue. Please stop making it a racist issue. It was a very sad letter. It's hard to disagree with her because she is a family member and she was going through hell and probably still is. But the fact of the matter is that it is a racial issue. You can't ignore that. You can't ignore that Chai Vang was Hmong, that something happened in the woods, whether or not that moment had to do with race. Everything that happened after then has had to do with race.
From my perspective, you had in Mr. Vang a person who was no different than many other defendants I've prosecuted. In that I think he was a violent and angry and manipulative person. He tried to blame others for everything that went wrong. If you listen to what he talks about in terms of driving drivers off the road in a semi-truck, he said individuals disrespected him. When you talk to him about the wives who he threatened or put guns to their heads, he will talk about how one had a gambling problem and disrespected him. Every time Mr. Vang throughout his life has acted out, he has blamed his victims for his behavior. And I think in this case, in the shootings, it was no different. He blamed his victims for what he had done.
It is well settled that the reason this incident occurred is because of race. Race was injected into a confrontation that was over. Chai Vang was leaving the property and he was confronted and race was injected into the comments that were made.
Here's a guy who was in the woods surrounded by, aggressive white folks, and they taunted him and taunted him. If you're surrounded by a bunch of aggressive people and someone shoots you, what's your reaction,
The man charged with killing 6 Wisconsin hunters will go on trial next September. Meanwhile, Vang's attorney says they're exploring a possible insanity defense. Vang pleaded not guilty to 9 separate charges, including 6 murder counts.
No change of venue for the court case in the Wisconsin hunting rampage. The judge has ruled that Chai Vang will be tried in Sawyer County.
Jury selection this morning took less than 3 hours, an incredibly quick pace for a case of this magnitude.
10 women, 4 men, including 2 alternates, all white, were seated in about 2 hours.
Mr. Vang, do you have anything to say about the jury selection? Do you have anything to say for yourself?
No.
This was all big white pine country, northern Wisconsin. All of northern Wisconsin was back in the early settlement days, and that's what brought the railroads, and basically that's what built the railroad all the way across the U.S. of A. is the pine tree ties from northern Wisconsin here, and some of us, I guess, something in our genetic disposition, we fell in love with the great woods up here, and although there's not pines around here like there used to be, there's still nice woods, there's still nice lakes, still nice fishing, and quiet and solitude like you can't find anywhere else that I've ever been, and I've been a lot of places.
You can go from rolling fields to wooded land, you know, acres, hundreds of acres of wooded land in a matter of a few miles, you know. It's just beautiful. See, God's gift. I mean, this is all His. Everything we have is His, really. You know, if you believe in a creator and that He created everything, it all belongs to Him, and you give back to Him.
There's a deep tradition of hunting and the gun hunt that's been handed down for generations up here.
It's always been a 9-day season centered around Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving dinner #1.
I mean, it's, where are you going hot now? We're going back up north. When are you guys leaving? And everybody's laughing, and it's just a very uplifting time.
Much of the enjoyment is just the fun of being together, and we usually have a big get-together and a meal on Saturday, and we sit around, usually watch the Packers on Sunday.
Well, they came bounding out through, kind of up this ridge, and they both just stopped, and first guy was looking at me, he was up further. I couldn't get a good shot because I could barely see him. All I saw was
That is as good a deer as I've ever shot.
Now get over behind both of them. Oh my God. Okay, 1, 2, 3. The 2 boys get the deer on the stands that I built.
Being out in the woods is great. You get away from everybody, you enjoy the outdoors, you know, and watching nature is really, really awesome. If you've ever seen early in the morning when the sun rises and there's still leaves on the tree and everything's frozen, when the sun hits the leaves, it's just like raindrops coming down, almost like a ballet type deal. And it's just beautiful.
That's not what we want to shoot. That was pretty cool. That was like a 3-point buck. His right side was a little short one, and then his left side was like a little split. That would be considered antlerless.
I enjoy the sport. I just don't go out there and shoot anything and take anything I don't need.
This is a 13 pointer. Yep.
Hey, you know what? If you count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Actually 7 on one side.
That's why I said God is there, man.
Being outdoors and hunting is one of the most spectacular things you can do. On the negative, American people look at you funny, white American people. You know, they ask you what you're doing, they bother you, they don't give you that hunter's respect. People have just said straight up, hey, what are you doing here, gook? And it's like, do you even know what the word gook means? I learned to live with it. You know, most Asians do learn to live with it. They won't accept it, but they just live with it because as a minority group, what do you do?
I encountered that situation where someone from a car screamed out "gook." I got so mad. I was At the time, I was holding a glass bottle. I threw it at the car. I didn't even hit it, probably. But I was so mad. I was like chasing down the car. Like, God, I want to kill you, you know? Just because they called me a gook. It's unfortunate that those things had to happen, but they do happen. And those people who don't ever see it or can't believe that it doesn't happen, it does happen. It happens. And I have no explanation for it, except no darn good explanation. It happens. It makes people very angry. Very angry.
Accused in a killing spree in the Wisconsin woods, Chai Vang now on trial for the murders of 6 hunters. Tonight, we're in the courtroom where tensions are so high there was talk that Vang should wear a bulletproof vest.
The 36-year-old admits to the incident but claims he acted in self-defense.
There's a lot of people out on the reservation who really believe that this incident is something that was waiting to happen because there had been those kinds of confrontations before. I think there's a lot of people that want to give Chai Vang the benefit of the doubt about what occurred out in the woods.
Please rise.
Case number State of Wisconsin versus Chai Vang, 04CF141.
Mr. Vang, turning your attention to Sunday, November the 21st.
When I got to the tree stand, I'm not sure where exactly I am, so I thought I just climb up there and look around, see where I am at.
We heard a call from Terry Willers. He said there's somebody in Carter's old tree stand. It's probably one of those mud ducks.
As I got close enough where I could verbally talk to him, I asked what hunting party he was with, and he kind of mumbled something that I didn't understand. I told him that he was on Bob Crowder's and my land, that he was trespassing.
So I say, I'm sorry, I don't know that this is private property. So, and then he told me, you shouldn't on somebody else's stand. So I started get up and I started climbing down.
He asked what direction he could go to get off the property to go hunt. And I pointed in the direction which I'd come from.
Then he also told me, you guys shoot too many doe. Then I told him I haven't got anything today. So I started heading southeast.
I radioed into the cabin and said that I'd had a tree rat and that I had chased him off.
Bob had said, I'm going to go talk to him, find out who he is, why he's there, and make sure he doesn't, that he knows he's on private property and that he's not welcome there. Denny had said to me, this ought to be interesting. Let's go see what's going on. We got in the back of it, standing up, hanging on to the roll bar.
He got back on the radio and asked me where he was at, and I says, he's heading south down the food plot right now.
So I know that he already talked to me and they'll probably come in after me.
In the woods from the old stand, I could see the ATV pull up in front of him. I know Bob had raised his voice at one particular point where I did hear him say that tree stands didn't grow out of the side of trees.
He asked him, what were you doing in my son's tree stand? You think the fucker grew there by itself?
Were you on my son's stand?
Did you
Then
respond?
I say, yes. He said, why the fuck you on my son's stand? Then I say, I didn't know where your stand.
Bob asked him, what the fuck are you doing here? Do you know you're on private land?
Do you know you are trespassing 400 acres of land, you damn gook?
Bob stated, do you know you came across 400 acres of private land to get here?
Then I say, no, because I don't see any sign, I don't see any fence anywhere. And he said, I don't have to put a fucking signs on you, fucking chink.
Get the hell out of here. If you come back, I'm gonna kick your ass. Better yet, I'll report you to the DNR.
If you're fucking Asian keep coming to my land, I'm gonna kick your fucking Asian ass.
Now, during that time, about how far was Mr. Crotto from this individual?
I would say 4 feet.
Okay.
4 feet distance between them, maybe 5.
Okay, and during that time, did Mr. Crotto make any threatening gestures toward this individual?
None that I saw. He was talking with his hands.
Give me your license. That's the second time he was saying. So I said no. As I started walking away, and Mr. Joe Crottos come behind the Rhino TV coming block in front of me. Then Mr. Lauren Hespeth coming close to my right a little bit, and a two-person, Mr. Mark Roy and Mr. Dennis Drew jump out from the ATV. So when that time I thought they were gonna beat me or something. So I said, "What the hell you think you're going then, gook?" Then I said, "Excuse me." I started moving a little bit to the left, and he stabbed one more time, blocking me. So he's coming close behind me. So I thought he's gonna hit me or something. So he just yanked his hand, flicked my backpack, my license. So he started reading 2 or 3 times. And then after they wrote it down, then he said, "Matter of fact, I'm gonna turn that to DNR. That will teach him a lesson."
We figured it was done. We're getting back in the Rhino, and Mark had gotten back on his ATV.
And that time they started turning the ATV around.
I told Bob to stop. Something was wrong. Something was different.
I also turned around and looking back, I observed, see Mr. Terry Weller take out his rifle from his right side, just take it off.
Now, during this time when you're looking back, why do you keep looking back?
Because I'm afraid they might do something. They already cussing me. I'm afraid I don't know what's going on.
Up until this point, he had been carrying his gun similar to the way he was holding it, holding on to the butt plate with one hand laying over his arm, and I couldn't see the gun anymore. It was around in front of his body.
As he took his gun off his shoulder and brought it down, then I just took my gun off my shoulder and brought it around to the front of me. And he started to come around with his gun, and I held my gun out in front of me, and believing that he was going to shoot at me, I said, "Don't you shoot at me, you son of a bitch."
I don't know who said it, several people, maybe one, but they said, "Stop, don't shoot, just get the hell out of here."
I thought in my heart, they're going to shoot at me, he's going to shoot at me. So I immediately dropped to my right into a crouch. At that time, because I always have my hands on the sling all the time. So I just slam it going down to my left, drop it, and when I drop it, I hear a fire going on. I see in front of me, that's go up, that incline. I see some dirt splash around about 40, 50 feet away in front of me.
Now, Mr. Vang, you say fire, what do you mean, a shot?
A gunshot. Gunshot.
And you said that you saw something past you in the distance.
When I dropped like this, I looked directly in front of me to the south. I saw the dirt splash around right in front, about 40, 50 feet away.
Did that mean anything to you?
I mean, to my mind, he shot me and he missed it. So that time I removed my scope. I don't know where I drop it in or throw away. I just removed it.
He made one smooth move, came around and pointed the gun directly at Terry Willers.
At that point, I took off running as hard as I could to the right.
I turned my gun around. As I turned around already on his direction, I already fired already.
First shell I could hear whistle past me.
I shot him one more time.
And in a split second, I felt the burn.
We were like rats scrambling.
With testimony of both survivors now complete, the defense will try to show inconsistencies in their accounts. Willers says he never fired his weapon at Vang. Hespeth, though, at one point told his wife he thought Willers did.
I told my wife I thought Terry returned fire.
In another discrepancy, Willers saying Vang was not repeatedly cursed at and could have walked away. Hespeth, though, reluctantly admitting that in earlier statements said that Vang was lambasted with profanity and that at one point Joe Crotto did prevent him from leaving.
As if he wanted to leave the area, Joey Crotto blocked the suspect's path.
The jury's toughest decision will be deciding who actually shot first.
And everybody just started scattering around, look like they try to get something in the back. Look like to me, look like a gun case in the back. They try to get doing something. And I started charging. When I got to the ATV, I saw mud rice scramble around the back on the north side beside the ATV. I shot him one more time. Then I shot him one time. I looked to the west of the ATV. Mr. Dennis Drew started scramble around of the ATV. I shot one more time. I turned around. Mr. Lauren Hasback, 10, 15 feet away. So I shot him one more time. I shot him one time then. And Mr. Robert, I shot him twice. I kind of laying down a little bit. I shot him twice. He dropped to the ground. I reload my magazine. I start chasing again. And Mr. Joe Crowder, I shot 1 or 2 times there. He dropped to the ground.
I have lived near Exlin for 39 years, and up until a few years ago, one could hunt and walk for hours, hunting on public and private lands, and would experience what hunters call a quality hunt. Then about 7 or 8 years ago, the first vehicle of Hmongs arrived. The next year there were several vehicles full. In the past 3 or 4 years, they have overrun the public land in our area. Since there are no fences to show where the public land ends and the private land begins, they have many times hunted and trespassed on private lands, thereby angering and frustrating the local property owners.
If I was to go on somebody else's property without permission, I would expect a good ass chewing and a fine. Nothing less than that. And people up here that hunt, they know that. They know that.
When I was growing up, pretty much all the land was open. Almost everything was county owned, or even land that was privately owned. Nobody really cared if you walked across their land. And one of the things that's happened up here over the course of my lifetime is that we were discovered by people from the city. And they moved in, they bought up the land, they posted it, they put up all their private property signs and that sort of thing, which, if you're a landowner, you have a perfect right to do that. But it really has restricted us local people as far as our access to wherever we want to go in the woods. You really have to know where you're going and who owns what. Because, that's what brought on the tragedies in Rice Lake last year, is somebody being where they shouldn't have been, and somebody being jealous of their property.
Before you enter private land, you have to have permission, oral permission or written permission from the landowner. If you come from a culture where there's no concept of private property, and then you see a sign and you know that the sign depicts where the public property is and where the private property is, but if you don't have a concept of what that sign depicts, like is it in front of the sign, is it behind the sign, is it to the side of the sign, those are things that we take for granted. 99% of Hmong people know how to read and write. They're not dumb. They're not gonna go out there and just trespass for no reason. You know, but there are people out there that trespass, and those guys that do trespass, there's no point for that.
I know there's been certain situations where Hmong hunters have been on public land, perfectly legal, and white hunter Anglos have told them, thinking, I can kind of buffalo these people. They're in my area. I don't want them here, even though it's public land. I'm just going to go tell them it's private land and kind of get them out of there.
But it's like with any new immigrant group. My grandfather experienced discrimination when he spoke German. And Hmong hunters are experiencing discrimination because they speak Hmong. It's not all that different if we look at history. It's just we're going through growing pains right now.
No one alive will ever forget those shootings and their murdered father, brother, sister, husband, or friends. No one. Even though it was only 1 month, the other encounters with Hmong trespassers will also be remembered, and nerves will continue to be on edge from now on. For the safety of all concerned hunters, the only way to avoid future possible trouble is for Hmongs to not return to hunt anywhere near the area where the greatest tragedy in hunting memories occurred. Past problems are a sign of future trouble, and I thank you for your time and your attentiveness.
There's been a history of conflict in Minnesota, in Wisconsin. I remember growing up, me and my uncle, my cousin would be fishing and people would scream out on their boat like, "Chica, chica, chica, ah, you chink, 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 chinks," you know, and it's just like, wow, you know, I'm out to just have a good time fishing, enjoying the outdoors just like anybody else, but, you know, why do these people have to make comments like that, you know? Who knows? It's just like going to high school and getting beat up in the locker room or something because you're different.
These are the pictures when we first checked when we came to the United States. They took those pictures, so I guess they can put in those documents when we come to the United States for each person. I was born in Thailand, and this is my mom. That's my dad, and my older sister, and then Chai, and then Sang, and then Chang, and then me.
And Chai Vang's story is very typical of the Hmong American story in that his father served with the CIA as a foot soldier during the secret wars in Laos. And Chai Vang was 7 years old when he left the country of Laos.
The Hmong people in ethnic Hill tribe were Laotian by nationality, but by ethnicity were Hmong. So we're ethnic Hill tribes living in central Laos, in the mountains of Laos.
And during the Vietnam War conflict in the 60s, the CIA came into Laos and met up with Hmong leaders and said, hey, we need you to fight with us, with the American CIA, to prevent communists from taking over Laos. You fight for us, we'll take care of you. We'll provide the weapons, you provide the soldiers. So thus began this alliance of Hmong American and CIA fighting side by side on the same side against the communist insurgency, which was an alliance that lasted over 15 years.
And after 1975, the Americans returned home. After they left, pretty much the communists took over, overthrown the government. They said, well, we'll seek out the Hmong. And literally there are secret documents circulating around the new government saying, annihilate the Hmong, kill the Hmong, especially those who sided with the CIA. That's when the exodus, Hmong exodus happened. A lot of Hmong soldiers, especially those who fought with the CIA, left Laos into the refugee camps in Thailand, and they eventually qualified for what they call political asylum to come to America.
Chai Vang came to this country at the age of 12. Like many families, moved around to be with relatives and ultimately graduated from high school. He was a guy who wanted to serve his country, who volunteered to join the California National Guard. In his service in the National Guard, he achieved sharpshooter status.
He was real young when he got married. It was, well, in my culture, there can be arranged marriage, which his marriage was arranged. And he had to do it with his first wife. He's got 5 kids. Chai has always been like a father to us, you know, just like my dad, you know what I mean? Even my dad would go to my brother. I mean, I remember in the 4th grade, my dad got sick. After my dad died in 2002, Chai pretty much took care of our family, just took over my dad's spot, his shoes. And at the same time, not just raising us, he was raising his own family. We know he loved to hunt. I mean, that was just his thing. He loved to hunt. And it doesn't matter if it was for squirrels, bears, deers. Well, I asked him, why do you go hunting all the time? He goes, when I go hunting, I feel free, you know? When I go hunting, he feels happy. I'm proud of him for who he is. You know, I'm not ashamed of him. I'm not ashamed to let people know that he's my brother because he did what he had to do.
Chai Vang once again maintained during cross-examination that Terry Willers fired the first shot.
This trial, by all accounts, moving much faster than anyone, at least initially, anticipated.
So your dad was with Jess at that time?
Yeah, he was
Then
driving.
what happened?
He started the four-wheeler and then Jess got in the back. And last thing I could think to say to him was, don't do anything stupid.
You know when your dad left, if he was carrying a gun?
I knew that he was not carrying a gun.
How about Jess?
No, she wasn't.
I hear another ATVs come by from the west so fast. So as they start turning, I saw the driver, Mr. Alan Lasky, has a gun on his left shoulder. He saw me, he's standing right there. He's looking at me. He started pulling his rifle off from his left shoulder. I just raised my rifle right there and shot twice. I saw Miss Jessica just fall to the left on the ground. Then I shot Mr. Alan Lasky when he tried to get out from the ATV. He fell down next to Miss Jessica. And so when he fell down, I ran behind him. His gun fell about 3-4 feet onto his left. And so he tried to grab his gun, I shot twice. So he's not moving, so I started running back to ATV south.
This is, as you can see, a transcript of your phone call with Ms. Mastany. You recognize that?
Yeah, I recognize that.
Hi, Mr. Vang, it's Colleen Mastany from the Chicago Tribune.
Yes.
How are you?
Oh, pretty good.
How are you doing now?
Just live day by day. And I lost some weight, about 5-6 pounds when I get here. That's, yeah.
How is your emotional state?
Well, right now, I wish that this would never happen so I can be with my family.
Do you think about the men who died?
Yes.
And what do you think about that?
Well, some of them, I say I feel sorry about it. Some of them, I say they deserve it because they don't know how to talk to me like they shouldn't be. Shouldn't be the way they do, so.
Okay.
Mr. Vang, I'd like to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 1A. Can you tell me if on that day, if Mr. Roit deserved to die?
No.
Can you tell me if on that day Mr. Drew deserved to die?
No.
Can you tell me if on that day Joseph Prado deserved to die?
Yes.
Can you tell me if on that day Mr. Lasky deserved to die?
Yes.
And can you tell me if on that day Miss Willers deserved to die?
No. Mr. Robert and those three, the one that I pretty much feel think that they deserve.
And Mr. Vang? Why Mr. Lasky?
Because he got a gun, if I don't shoot him, he will shoot me.
And why Joey Crotto?
Because he accused me of getting a finger And he's cut in front of me when I try to get out already, and he still call me name, cussing me.
And Mr. Crotto, why did he deserve to die?
Because he's the one that confront me the first time, and yell at me, call my name, and that's who he is.
And it's still your testimony today that it was Mr. Willers who shot first?
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Vang, just 2 questions. From the time of the first shot to the time that you left that area, what was going through your mind?
I was afraid, I was scared, and I was confused. I wish that this was not happening. I was so scared, and that's about it, I guess.
And Mr. Vang, is that why you did what you did November the 21st of 2004?
Yes, I did what I have to do to defend myself. I was do what is necessary to stay alive.
Thank you. No further questions.
Chai Vang once again maintained during cross-examination that Terry Willers fired the first shot.
They never found the expended shell from Terry Willers' gun. Then it was a contested fact who shot first. We still don't really know, but it became a test of credibility in the trial of who was speaking the truth.
We got a verdict, we got a verdict, we got a verdict.
The jury was out about 3.5 hours when they made the decision. Chai Vang, 36 years old, truck driver from St. Paul, among immigrant, is about to learn his fate.
State of Wisconsin versus Chai S. Vang. We, the jury, find the defendant, Chai S. Vang, guilty of first-degree homicide of Robert Crotto, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide of Joseph Crotto, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide of Mark Roy, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide.
Guilty on all 9 counts.
6 first-degree murder charges, 3 first-degree attempted murder charges. His sentence will be life imprisonment. Once again, Chai Vang found guilty on all 9 charges against him.
We thank each member of the jury for reaching a just conclusion to this trial. There is no punishment that can be given to equal the suffering and loss our loved ones and we have endured.
People of the church do not know how we feel. Although we know it's not a surprise to us, we already know that. Every single one of them was white. They would not understand. They will never understand what my brother went through up there.
The only thing that Bob and Joey deserved that day was to continue enjoying our family tradition of being together. Even though 6 lives were lost that day, last November, a countless number of lives were forever changed.
You have to think about it, use your common sense. 8 people against 1 guy. He had to defend himself. If he doesn't defend himself, he could be dead already. We'll never find his body at this time.
prayers, and wishes for healing are with the other victims' families. We also express our sympathy to the Vang family. We know how hard it can be to continue without a family member in your daily life, whether it's through incarceration or through death. Every day, we miss my dad.
I felt this was an example of the equivalent of a sort of like an OJ trial in our community, and that depending on your ethnic makeup, your background, your ethnic experience, or racial experiences, it gave you a very different picture of the judicial system.
We see the tragedy that occurred in the woods as a call to action to address this issue before we have another tragedy on our hand.
We had about 500 people who came, families of hunters and hunters themselves, and it gave people a chance to vent about their experiences of racial tension in the woods. And in a room of this size, we asked how many of you felt he received a fair trial, and no one raised their hand.
You look at the TV, you look at the courtroom, you do not see one Asian incorporated into the decision-making process. You do not see one Asian in the jury.
It's very hard for the Hmong community to believe that we still don't know who fired first. Who fired first? Because the law clearly states that if you were fired upon, then you can shoot in self-defense. But to this day, we still don't know who fired first. So that's why I think it's still very, in our community, it's not resolved, because the reason why some people say, well, maybe he is seen as I want to say a folk hero, but a lot of Hmong hunters would say, we're glad that he stood up to, because we believe his story that he was fired at.
We're not going to know exactly what happened, but even in a worst case scenario, even in a scenario where racial tones, racial slurs were uttered, it would not give justification to what had happened that day in the woods.
If it was a white person that came into our territory and was lost and needed a place to go, needed a direction to go out, we'd just tell them straight up, this is how you get out of here, and then that'll be it. But see, why can't they just do that to my brother and that'll be it?
It's not the white man against the Hmong. Okay? It was a group of people and another individual who made a bad decision that day. Okay? He obviously was pissed off at the world for something. And I truly don't believe it had anything to do, as much to do, with what was said to him that day as what probably was said to him many days and weeks and months prior. Our lives have all changed, some more dramatic than others, some more emotional than others. It's something that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, to have the feeling that we all felt that day.
As for my mom, I don't think she'll ever get over it. There is not a single day that I do not see her cry. We try to comfort her in every way possible. It's just hard sometimes, because sometimes you just can't do it. Just like every family out there says, life will never be normal again. Will never be normal.
None of my friends went hunting after that. We all stopped. We wanted to give some time, so we waited. We waited. And then we went back out in the woods. And you have to be careful.
ý do có cứ có đi duy cho đa hoa tê bê lộ tua chi tơ lộ bê na chê để khó chơ tơ xì tư xì trơ để chơ xì vô ngày nó lành tu tua tê bông dông lành tu tua